should have been drunk before we do this. Yeah. Okay. The focus of Matt and I, our project, is on social networking sites, especially on focusing on Facebook, and they're lending to the dehumanization of communication between people, especially primarily in today's youth. We have a few topics we'd like to discuss briefly with you that we'll get more in depth with in our paper. Unfortunately, neither of us were able to attend tonight's festivities, so we're sending this video message to you, which actually is kind of ironic because we're taking human interaction out, and that's what we're focusing on in our project. So I'll let Matt begin. I'll let Matt begin with his.
Oh, there's just a couple things I want to touch on. First, on the dehumanization of social interaction and networking. Basically, I was kind of brainstorming some ideas, and if any certain person wanted to get up and say move from where they live or whatever, and legally change their name and everything, they could still live say the Facebook alias. So if I wanted to go be Mark Johnson instead of Matt Soderberg, I could live a Mark Johnson life, but in Facebook I could still, with all the features that Facebook offers, communication features, everything, I could still live the life of Matt Soderberg on Facebook, communicating with my friends, sending messages, wall posts, live chat, but really not be Matt Soderberg in my real life. So that's just something we wanted to bring up, and we will expand more on that in our paper, which we will be presenting at the end. And my second point was just in research I had found that Google is being threatened by Facebook, basically. And their point being is that Facebook is becoming so popular that it's moved from colleges to high school students and now to adults or anybody who wants to be on it. And it's so popular that the first site that many people go to is Facebook. So now they're worried that if somebody's on Facebook, Google or Facebook is going to come up with an application where you can just go and search. So instead of going to Google, people are just going to search on Facebook, and that's just something that I found that we found interesting as well. So,
some other features that I'd like to talk about briefly is in kind of thinking about our main thesis and the dehumanization and taking human contact out of actual human interaction using technology. Facebook offers certain applications or features such as the walls, messages, now the chat feature most recently, and links to instant message screen names and services. So when thinking about that, we were presented with an issue of time. Now, this kind of had us brainstorming about other things, but what it is it's instant communication that we can actually kind of deal with at our own leisure. So in discussing this, we were throwing around the idea of getting brief information that can relaying back and forth using wall posts or messages can take longer amounts of times because we deal with them at whenever we feel like dealing with them or answering them, where that can all be taken care of in a brief phone call. So this social networking is kind of taking what could be short series of communications and making them into longer versions, which in essence is the opposite of what technology is supposed to provide us with. Also, we were discussing Facebook mobile application and how that moving Facebook to your phone with your computer also deals with this time issue and spreading out conversations and interactions and kind of having them come at you and not actually having to talk with the person, which is the purpose of the telephone. And that brought us back to text messaging and other ideas of getting back to a text-based communication rather than what our technology has allowed us to, in essence, do is use videos and face-to-faces, and we can talk more readily to each other using the speakers and microphones. However, now today's society has gone back to more of a text-based communication. Also, then we were talking about what Facebook has done for communicating with people that you don't necessarily communicate with on a regular basis. And Matt was saying that people from high school had friended him that he hadn't seen in years. So another point in talking about dehumanizing communications was we wanted to ask the question in our paper, does a site like Facebook actually redefine the term friendship for today's society? What actually is a friend? And Matt had brought up a point earlier in that what do you call a friend? Is a friend on Facebook the same as a friend in the real world, or is a friend on Facebook someone that you still might not even give more than a passing glance to in the hallway or on the street? So those were some of our ideas. We plan on getting more in depth in them in our paper. However, we can't be there tonight to present them with you.
Just one more thing, just going back to the Facebook and all the text-based communication. Basically, what we're trying to say is that we kind of saw that we're seeing that Facebook is becoming a platform within social networking in the same sort of way that text messaging did to the cell phone and the mobile world. So instead of a phone call, people are just going for what should basically is an SMS, is a short message, and making a bunch of short messages when instead they could have just called the person, or like what email created through the internet. People, instead of making a phone call or going for a face-to-face meeting, they'll just shoot an email and they'll go through a bunch of emails, which could have just been a 2 or 3 minute conversation. So I just wanted to add that.
Way back there. Yeah, but that's pretty much it. Professor, we said we'll have the paper in with more of this stuff in